Hello everyone, my name is Megan Breen. I'm the screenwriter for Serpentine Pink, and this is our third in a series of interviews with artists associated with the film Serpentine Pink. Today we're going to be doing it with Gary Meister and Vivian Sorenson. There's Vivian. Hi everyone, I'm going to invite Vivian. Here we go. Invite to join Vivian. See. Hi. I can't hear you guys. Can you hear me? Hi. I can hear you. I mean, I can't hear you. I can see you. Can you guys see me? Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me? Can you guys see me, hear me? Great, thanks. Jill can hear me, yes. Vivian and Gary, can you hear me? Can you hear me, see me? Hey everybody, I'm going to X out and then we'll start this up again, okay? Because Vivian and Gary cannot hear me. Oh, there you go. Yes, now I can hear you. I couldn't hear you before.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Hello. How are you guys? Not much. Just trying to stay cool here. Isn't it cold over there? It's cold over there in New York.
It's turning into like lovely fall.
Oh, great.
Where you want,
We have the air conditioning blasting here, but
yeah.
Great. Well, hi guys.
How are you?
I'm so excited you guys could do this. I was telling everybody before, this is our third interview for Serpentine Pink. We first did it with Kristen and Sabina, the two protagonists of the film, and we wanted to do one with you guys. And we thought it would be great to do it as a pair since you are the power creative couple. So Vivian directed the film Serpentine Pink. Gary composed the music and the songs. And
tell people who you are, because
I'm Megan. I'm the screenwriter. I did that at the beginning before you guys came in. I'm the screenwriter and one of the many co-producers. And yeah, so tell me, we know each other. I met you, Vivian, through Ron, when Ron Hanks, the line producer. We were trying to figure out who to direct this neo-noir surreal desert movie. Your name came up from him, and we had a Zoom meeting, and we talked for, I don't know, what was it, like 2 hours, 3 hours, 3 hours. So that's how we met. Yeah. But we had a connection through our theater backgrounds.
Yes.
Yes.
And I actually like, I want to say the day before everything shut down, pandemic, that Kristen and I had like a very deep, Kristen,
right.
She had a very deep meaning about the movie and our work and what all of that means to us. And meanwhile, we were also like, had no idea what was going on around us in terms of pandemic.
Right, because of COVID.
I remember like we sat away from each other and we drank a glass of water because we had and then I walked back across Brooklyn Bridge because I didn't want to take. So anyway, like the movie is sort of set for me in this place of like that deep conversation that we had, the conversation Kristen and I had with the pandemic around us. So it's just like these very crystal moments in my mind. But yeah.
Yeah. And so I had seen your short film that Ron sent us that you'd done with Ron, 5 teenagers walk into a bar. That was filmed in the Mojave as well, right? Because our film Serpentine Pink was filmed in the Mojave Desert in California, and you had done a short film with my friend from college, Ron Hanks.
Yeah.
And so that kind of led into you joining us to direct this. And so this was your first feature, correct?
this was my first feature, and I felt kind of coming into like an incredibly creative group that had already done all this work, but I had already worked with Ron, so and of course I've like come out of the New York City theater scene, so it all just was felt very like, what course this all makes sense to me. Of course I'm doing this movie, like this just you know, just it felt right.
Right. So many connections. Yeah, I just want to say to hello viewers, later, or just throughout, you can ask us questions throughout for Vivian and Gary as we go along, and just about the movie or about their process, and I will read them as I catch them. Or if you just want to say hi and wave support, that's great too. Yes, I remember your, that you had had some sort of connection to O-Lan. So O-Lan Jones plays the, I call her the legendary O-Lan Jones. She played Andra, the psychic in the movie, and you had some sort of connection to her. Remind me again, for theater in San Francisco, or you had heard of her work, or?
Yeah, so she was part of a theater company with Sam Shepard and playwright Murray Mednick.
Okay, right.
And Murray had a theater company in LA called Padjo Hills Playwrights Forum. And incredible playwrights. And I would say that Murray was my mentor, and I also directed.
Okay.
In actually pretty much all in New York, but I also produced the Coyote Cycle on Marcus Vineyard. So anyway, Sam World was one that I had fallen in love with when I was out of college, and chose to work in. Just extremely immersive and very much in the desert and being in.
Great. And so I love all those mixtures of inspirations and connections, and that fed the film experience. And did that affect the way that you approached the movie? Your experience with that?
I think that it did. I think Merck's work particularly informed me because it was, you know, the Coyote Cycle is about, took place from sundown to sunrise, very place. We did the entire play out. Murray's plays are very much sort of the literal and the factual, but also spiritual, what happens in the mind. That might not, like what happens in the mind, not right? And so I know those plays. I knew that world. So I read Serpentine Pink. I was like, I world I know.
Yeah.
I mean, weird the way life works, right?
Right.
But like, this is just on a continuum of all the work that I've done and fallen in love with.
Yeah, and I think that really helped connect, knowing that we wanted you for this, because for people who are joining and don't know, that I wrote the original version of this was a play, and then we saw the cinematic possibilities within it, and Kristen Condon, who plays Henrietta in the movie, we all kind of got everything going to make it into a film. And so there was this great connection. It was the original cast of the play production in Los Angeles, is the same cast in the movie. So we loved that bridge of theater to film. And so knowing that you had those connections too was a great addition. So, and I'm looking at both of you guys. So I'm fascinated by this. Do you guys normally work on projects together? So Gary did the music for the movie. Vivian directed it. Have you guys ever worked on something like this together? And if so, how is Serpentine Pink different, if at all?
Right. So we've worked on a bunch of different projects together, and the one that Vivian was talking about, the Coyote Cycle, I don't know if we specifically discussed it during the process of working on Serpentine Pink, but it is a very kind of a work that, well, that was purely theatrical, but both sort of emanate place in terms of like kind of strong spiritual current going through, at least for my, I can see that there was similarity in what I'm looking to do in both of those, which is to kind of like keep things mysterious and taking the sense that there's magic, what's going on, to sort of like for the viewer, like viewer, you know, might feel like they don't know where to go, and it's a different kind of a vibe. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it connects you to something spiritual as music does, right? The play that Gary is talking about is Hopi myth plays, like from sundown to sunrise, and we did those in the desert, out in the forest of Martha's Vineyard,
in an outdoor.
And you
cool.
And you would hear Gary wrote this music. You literally would come in and you would like hear me. Like puppets in the forest, and you'd hear tinkling of bells. So it's like working on you on so many different levels, and that is I think. And Gary also scored a black 35mm called Silent Love, and we did something similar. Cycle. So we've definitely done this, like, you know, work that. That was a play called The Silent Love of the Fish by Marina. Right.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So the landscape played a big part in it then, and you're from, remind me again, Vivian, you're from New Mexico, or you have family in New Mexico? And
I grew up.
Oh, you grew up there.
And so. Okay,
so how did that play into you immersing yourself in the desert world of Serpentine Pink? Again, because you've done a lot of work in New York and
I was gonna say in the Mojave Desert, and I have no idea why. Like who knows? Sometimes
these
about
projects.
Sabina says 505 represent.
Hi, area code.
That's right. New Mexico is where my imagination feels, and it is, you know, a place of incredible beauty, in so many different ways, and you know, where you grow up, where inside you, but it's also like dangerous. It can be dangerous.
Yeah.
And it also reflects people, you know, like certainly like we talked a lot about and make a new talked a lot about that it's like people go and seek it out as a place of healing. But it's also dangerous, right? And it doesn't provide what you're looking for. And you know, like I think
in terms of the desert being right,
rattlesnakes and scorpions and dehydration and certainly that, you know, that's Joshua Tree. So so all of those things together, like people being brought there, and danger and the beauty of the quality of it, like, you know, all of that is fascinating to me.
Yeah. And what about Gary, have you did any part of the desert soundscape kind of, I mean, I guess there is such a desert music sound, and you know, there's that California desert music sound, like with all the bands there. There's a lot of, at Pappy and Harriet's, the saloon there, there's a big music scene there. They have the Joshua Tree Music Festival there. And just, you know, from a lot of LA musicians go to Joshua Tree to record at, did you guys go to the Integratron when you were there?
We scouted at the
Yeah.
Like me. That's like classic me. Like
Yeah. So for the people who don't know, the Integratron is I call it an alien chapel. It's kind of hard to explain, but it's this perfectly acoustic space chapel placed in the 60s, I want to say. This aeronautics engineer believed that the vortex was where people had connected with aliens from Venus, I want to say. I haven't been there in a while. But now it's this, so it's supposed to be this perfectly acoustic healing center, and it's on a vortex of healing, and it's in Landers, California, so I think it's about 15 minutes outside of Joshua Tree, Maine. And but you go there for sound baths, and that plays a huge part in the movie. Crystal Bowls sound bath with the shaman character that Michael Harris plays. And so I was wondering, Gary, like if that was on your radar at all, because I know in the Integratron and just in Joshua Tree in general, there's a lot of musicians go out there to write and record albums. I know the Fleet Foxes recorded an album in the Integratron. Is the music scene from there, did that inform the songwriting at all? Or, because I know when I wrote the lyrics to the 2 songs of the songs we did together, that definitely was in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
So in terms of sound, did that affect your composition at all, or?
But that I keyed in so specifically on like bands and someone like Graham Parsons who has it
right
died in the Joshua Tree Inn. Although I guess in the sense that I was trying to do music that would feel like out there, and so that, you know, it wasn't like I was thinking of a specific band or that trying to nail like that vibe of it. But I do think like for a shot in it are going to be things that is, for me, I did think of a lot of those with those bands and things, which is, you know, guitars, slide guitar, some harmonica, a little bit of a like country and western vibe, but maybe darker, like a heavy bass, some heavy bass, and you know, the synthesizers that I and
okay.
But I do think, I mean, it is a feel. For me, it's always like, you know, starting any project, it's like, what am I doing? What is the vibe? What is the stuff? So this, I think once I started working on it in earnest, I watched like the rough assembly. I guess Vivian and I had talked about it, but I think initially I just said, I want my guitar caster, which is a very twangy thing, and yeah, definitely. So I mean, it just felt like that's what it was going to be. And once I started working on it, it felt like that kind of stuff really worked against the picture that I was using. Because I always say it's kind of like you can have a lot of ideas, but at the end of the day, it's like it's just these group of shots that it either works or it doesn't. And sometimes you go in thinking it's going to be one thing, and you wind up creating something different based on the emotion of the scene or pacing, whatever.
Right.
Gary also he's also spent time in Gamelan.
Say that again? You spent time where?
Very specific to the region of Bali, but
okay.
So yeah, I'll let you brought, so we wanted to bring some of that into it too.
It winds up sneaking its way into a lot of things that I do because of the sound of it. They just can lend themselves to different kinds of soundscapes and songs and tracks that they can fit in. It doesn't always work, and it's not always right, but has quality. And then for this, it's got a, you know, as its own thing, Balinese hypnotic, mesmerizing quality is always the words people use. So that sort of itself to the themes of your film, you know, which well, some of the themes in terms of the mystical things that were happening.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
Like, no, it's
yeah,
magical.
but yeah, trying to just create that weren't necessarily so placed, but that some of these references, somebody, they're not going to hear like Bali. It doesn't Folly,
but if you have like sort of twangy sounds of the like that you expect like bar and Harriet Pappy's, right? Pappy and Harriet's, and rock feel, but also, but you know, also like why is like the Balinese sound? Then your mind is already like going into these like really fun like.
I'll also
Okay.
you know, maybe on the songs for this. The first thing that we did together and that I wrote for the film was Vivian was out in Joshua Tree with you and the crew and the cast leading in the week, maybe up to the shoot, and it was like 3 days before the shoot, and she was like, "We need a song. I need you to do a song. Megan to write a song." It was like Sunday. I'm pretty sure we had to get it by Wednesday for a striptease in a bar with a kind of country and western.
Burlesque.
It's a burlesque, not a striptease. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that Kristen, the actress, could dance to it, and like you know, I'm used to working quickly. I don't always like to work super quickly. I like things to tell, but I can bang things out too. And so you and I wrote a song in like 2 days, and
yeah. It was fun though. It was kind of like a challenge, you know. And I find that poems, and because I write a lot of poems too, that poems and songs. I've written song lyrics before for previous plays with music, and I find them a bit more liberating. I find it a bit more liberating because it can be, and also wrote the libretto for the opera with O-Lan. And it can be a challenge, like a puzzle, to figure out how to have an abstract but also kind of epic meaning in a very tight, clear way, and how do you conjure images. And so with Kristen, I don't know if it was Kristen's idea or if it was Vivian's idea or one of your ideas to do it as that she would be wearing a deer costume for the burlesque. So she wanted it to be, so I wrote it from the perspective of a deer lady. And like what that would look like if a deer lady was being kind of seduced or hunted. And so it was really fun and playful because the style of burlesque is really playful. And then also, and then I think what was great about working with you, Gary, was that you were like, you know, can this, which is what I learned with O-Lan as well, doing the libretto a couple years ago, was this idea of like, okay, this image is clear, but can this be a little bit more clear under here? Or can we cut this word for the syllables to be, which I find fascinating because to me, songwriting is like magical math. And I'm not a math person at all. And so I like just giving the lyrics and then doing what you need me to do. And, but
I should also, and I hadn't really met or probably even spoken, although we knew of each other.
Right.
On the phone, and I was like, "Hi, how you doing?" And we're like, "Do you think should it rhyme? Should it not rhyme?" And I, you know,
right.
verses, and I was like, "Yes." You know, like I think ultimately what I said was send me a bunch of lyrics. I probably like a very rough demo, like as soon as I got something, and you know, I think I just felt and probably said like, "Oh, we'll just make it work. We'll just, you know, one way or another, we'll sort of like each do a little thing, adjust what we each do, and
yeah,
make it work." And I think it worked out really well.
Oh my God, it was so much fun to shoot it too.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I felt I don't want to chop up your words, but sometimes, like if I write with this many syllables per line, I have to like add a word, drop a word, and all of that seemed to just work flow between you and I, and
mm-hmm.
pretty natural in terms of
it was fun. Yeah.
And we needed something in that location.
In Pappy and Harriet's?
Yeah, we needed to
You
hear
guys
it.
should explain what that is. Pappy and Harriet.
It's a saloon in Joshua Tree. It's very famous. They have music festivals there. I've seen incredible concerts there. It's kind of like a destination for big events, festivals. People from LA go out there all the time. It's huge space. It's right. It's like a.
Yeah.
I haven't been there in a long time, but they have like it's across from Pioneer Town. So there's a corral kind of there where you can like hang up your horses, but it's also, you know, there's 3 different bars. There's a pool area, right?
Yep.
And we shot the burlesque scene in there, and then you shot a scene in the bathroom, right, Vivian?
Yes. Yep. It was.
Sabina says really good barbecue. Yeah.
It was a incredible privilege to be able to shoot there, and that.
Yeah.
It's
legendary.
Of all the rock concerts and that have taken songwriting. Just and it just felt like, you know, we did that, and it was so fun for me to hear Gary singing that song. His voice is not like he's not, but just for me, like hearing
In the temple.
Yeah. In the location and being, you know, this burlesque act together, and it was extraordinary experience it, and I feel like through in the movie.
Awesome.
And that's second scene, right?
Yeah.
Or the first?
Yeah. And the song is evocative of the, right?
Mm-hmm.
But actually, we actually on the stage, burlesque act is like not necessarily the movie, but the story that it actually danced to is it a little bit tells us what happened, in a way, what happened to Kristen.
Mm-hmm.
It you know, her challenges and faces, I feel like are in that song.
Right. Great. So, what was there anything when you were thinking about Pappy and Harriet's, and we talked in the past 2 interviews about how much the landscape affected Kristen and Sabina while they were performing their characters. Was there anything about the shoot that, especially being in the desert, was there anything about it that surprised you about yourself, or that you learned about yourself while you were directing it that you didn't know that you had that creative tool or in you, or that it made you think about your approach in a different way? Or what about being in that desert landscape kind of, did it illuminate anything for you as a visionary director?
You know, it was a hard place to magic, cold, and we very well, and I the words are so beautiful that there are many times I would just want to mean really why crying. Like the emotion of it, I feel like it didn't, like the cry, I don't mean that stopping me from like not walking, crying, like like mourning the story, mourning what we were going through. And that's the incredible thing I love about making movies, is actually like you're in the location itself. The gift is the location. You're actually there. And I do think it gives things a, you know, if just like let it be and are very quiet and let it be in you, and listen, I feel like it does inform the scenes themselves. And incredible performances, like, and also, you know, from everyone who's done the play, and this sort of, you don't usually, it was a gift. You don't usually get to direct a movie where the actors, everyone, actors, so informed. Right? What do you like? What a privilege for me. I got to step into what, you know, had and then just sort of add this narrative, and then you just add, and then all of a sudden we're not on stage, but we're actually like the sun is going down.
Yeah.
O-Lan, and she has to walk up high, where she's going to do, you know, she's going to pull together the sunset, the universe, and the rocks themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Going to go do music, and she's like walking up this hill as the sun is setting, you know, and it was just like like the movie. I'm just like, oh my god,
So visceral that you're there, and I feel like that really came through in the movie too.
sorry,
Is that immersive? I feel like that really came through in the movie, the immersive quality of it. Like you really feel like you're transported to the desert for that, what is it, hour and a half? So it's yeah, you guys really captured the location, the setting, the feeling, even just the emotional resonance of what it's like to be in an isolated, harsh landscape like that, and how that, you really captured how that affected every character in there. And then also how they used it to their power as well, like we were talking about with Andra. You know, it's like a conjuring, you know, it's like a conjuring of this story in this space, especially with that. Something that I found fascinating was that, you know, in the script, I wrote very like 3 lines of Sabina and Kristen's characters, the 2 lovers, the protagonists, appear from the land as their animal totems. So snake and deer, and they have a movement, a dance. They come together, and then the snake kind of moves the deer away, and that's all I wrote. And then it was fascinating to see what you came up with. So can you talk a little bit about that? Not to give anything away, but like it is a standout in the movie. It's different than the rest of the story. How was it? What was your concept for the that more abstract moment? Or yeah, I guess, I mean, because there are abstract moments, of course, magical elements, but it is grounded in reality of these people's lives there. So, but that beginning moment, yeah. How did you come up with that? What about, what inspired you to film it that way?
Honestly, I think theater up, like I'm not, that was, I also what you wrote about me, about, you know, the Greek gods, and the gods are and hurting, and the movie with feeling that, like, and this is nature, like this is the power to overcome you, over to fight, they want to try. And so I really like, and the idea, I mean, the beautiful idea of like the serpent and the deer and their love and their passion for each other. And,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, and then of course I got also to like the incredible location that Ron, our line producer, found as well. Liz, our cinematographer, shot it just at sunset. We had these like extraordinary head and costumes that really reflective of the Serpentine, and then choreographed, like the first thing that Kristen and I were of, you know, when we went, as soon as we got, like, we have to come up with the choreography for this. Room was like, oh my god, thing we did.
Yeah,
but I was
Kristen's beautiful choreography. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say from my end that when I started things that I did, I really I get the scene, or I beautiful and powerful, but I think I just didn't know right away what to do. And that Greek gods thing, I remember Vivian said that to me at one, like, they're like Greek gods, and so I kind of started thinking of them as like these warring mythic energies, or like
yeah.
the zodiac signs in the sky and the constellation.
Mm-hmm.
I think she and the editor, Sean Hardaway, pushed me to sort of make it what I was doing weirder than maybe I thought it should be. So
Mm-hmm.
it's one foot in the kind of desert guitar sound, but then a lot weirder, and somehow it seems
Mythical.
Yeah.
And it sets the tone for the rest of the movie too. So that's another set of challenges. Sabina says we rehearsed it in the driveway of the Airbnb.
We did. We did.
Yeah.
I shot it on my phone.
That's amazing. Yeah, so fascinating to see how that all comes together. Something I was interested in, so we just have a few more moments left. If anybody watching wants to ask Vivian or Gary a question about their process or just anything about the film or just about how they work together, go ahead and put it in the comments. We will upload this later if you want to watch again or recommend, so please share and recommend after we post it. But yeah, a question that I had that I was fascinated with was I saw that you guys it seems like you were able to travel a bit in this movie, or you went to Paris, and it was after the shoot. It was a while after the shoot, and you were trying to find the Grand Guignol Theater in Paris. So for people who don't know, the original story of Serpentine Pink is inspired by a Grand Guignol short play. So the Grand Guignol was a French horror theater in, I want to say, the early 1900s to the 1930s. Very shock and awe, kind of like B horror movie type stuff. The main purpose was to titillate and shock and gross people out. And so this theater space is still there in Paris. And you were texting me trying to figure out where it was. And so it got me thinking, did you ever find it? You didn't find it, right?
No.
Yeah.
It was like, but there is like, it stopped prior. That also is really
right. But the space is still there, right? The door. Or...
Grass, right?
It is not. I mean, we didn't.
Oh, okay.
It's
maybe it disappeared.
Yeah. Maybe we weren't at the right address, so I asked, it out there, what is it? And maybe whoever goes to Paris next, like, find
you
it.
have to find it.
Extraordinary black photo from their back. Both of them, like, they're together, and you feel their excitement as they're down this alleyway and into the theater. And I think, Megan, you and I shared that. That for me, I have to capture that. Like, this is we're going, we're afraid, we don't know what's going to happen, and we will experience something.
I love that.
So we have to find it.
We do have to find it. Yeah, there's incredible posters. Sorry, what?
I was just saying, somebody bring that back as a style of theater, right? Like, it's just so crazy.
Yeah.
And it was like bloody violent, right? Like,
yes,
horrific horror-esque.
Yeah, people would like pass out. Like, it was seen as very gory, and I mean, the original play is very heightened melodramatic wonderfulness. It's very much like that scream that Kristen has in the movie as Henrietta when she looks in the mirror and sees her acid burned face and she's like, ah! That's directly taken from, if you see the posters are all, I love them, they're so great. But that got me thinking, I just want to end my last question would be, because you guys are so cultural and artistic, you have like creativity just bursting out of you, and you were able to go to Paris and all these places. What Serpentine Pink is, the Mojave Desert is such an American thing. My parents have Irish friends in Ireland, and they said that it's like a destination for them and for their friends to go to the California desert because they'd never seen anything like it before. And so much about the movie is so inherently Mojave Desert American, but the style is like French horror. And so I was wondering, outside of the American influence, are there any like European or any non-American influences that like really were in the back of your mind when you were working on Serpentine Pink, or just in general? I'm just interested.
So I talked Liz, our incredible cinematographer, about her film King Rock. Now, an Australian filmmaker, but that was important to me to, again, like those girls in that environment, and nature plays a role in that movie, and I was really moved by that movie, and it's right time. I was directing, like, nothing to do with the movie. Location is a character.
Yeah.
So I'll use, that. We looked at, like, we wanted color script, make so much about like and screen and all the colors, and that was also something really present for us. And obviously a lot of that, and we did, which was really cool.
Yeah.
A lot of different, all kinds of movies where like color, and you go from one room and it might be blue, and then you go into another room and it's like, how does the color affect your scene? What does color feel like? And that was really fun because we enhanced that later on.
Mm-hmm.
I would sort of like really push the colors.
That's awesome. I love that. It's so provocative and lush, and really comes through in the color correction and just the visuals of the film. You really captured that. How about you, Gary? Outside influences from non-American?
You're like thinking about it, and outside of American.
Yeah, you really like blues and jazz. Is that true?
I do. I try everything. I do love jazz.
Mm-hmm.
Everything for this some instrument with a couple of sounds and instruments that are the one that I have in my one with some samples.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sean, the editor, editors will pull together a film in scenes with temporary music so we would have a discussion about that, working and not working temp tracks that he used, and a lot of that was and as I'm like a lot of American films.
Mm-hmm.
What I did doesn't sound so similar to that stuff anymore, but outside really like twangy guitar, classical music and film score, sort of like and maybe some kind of vibes, but they draw from classical influence, but
Mm-hmm.
it become very American language.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I listened to a lot of spaghetti western soundtracks when I was writing. Mm-hmm.
I do love Ennio Morricone.
Yeah, main one Morricone, and then it was just, yeah.
He's right. Like, I didn't think of that, but actually, he's part and parcel of the sound of so many film scores that sound like him or not. Just in terms, he helped develop the language for
sure. Great. All right.
Like,
okay.
Other twangy desert, right? I think you told me at one point when you had been writing to other things that
other music that I was writing with.
Yeah, I think you playlist and to the film, and that helped me a lot, I think.
Oh, great. Yeah, a lot of my friends, my musician friends, they work a lot in Joshua Tree. I've seen a lot of them. Really, you know, like there's this band called Dead Rock West that writes a lot. They open for X and John Doe, and they sing a lot with, you know, that desert kind of landscape vibe. A lot of San Diego musicians develop this kind of desert vibe as well. Yeah, so many inspirations, mostly the Cramps, and David Lynch has a bunch of albums out. So his work with Karen O, and also Aram Ray, this incredible New York / I think she's from the South somewhere. And Lana Del Rey, you know, like big names like that as well, for the burlesque songs. And yeah, a lot of musical influences. And Mark Lanigan, R.I.P. Yeah.
In that plays sort of like in the car, in the on the radio, sense that there's a background song that was like what you might listen to, like, you know, you don't popular oozy, deserty.
Mm-hmm.
Like now that it's almost like a slowed down version of the.
Yeah.
Josh from, I think they have 10 records of the desert sessions.
Mm-hmm.
I think they all recorded. That has a lot of that I listen to a little bit too, in terms of.
Oh, great.
That sort of twang, dark, very dark desert.
Surreal.
Desert,
yeah.
Yeah. Moody.
Grotesque. Yeah. Well, wonderful. This was wonderful, you guys. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks for inviting us.
Yeah.
This was so much fun.
Of course, fascinating. We could talk forever, but I think this time's out in about 10 minutes. So, but
seeing the film, and hopefully everyone gets a chance to do that soon.
Yes, hopefully, yeah. Crossing fingers, gets distribution, and goes to more festivals. Would love to have a New York premiere sometime.
Love to have a New York premiere.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, put it out to the, like, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, we'll put it out to the cosmos. But yeah, so follow people who are watching. Follow Serpentine Pink Film, the account on Instagram. Vivian and Gary share it, often post. And also Larissa's, our EP's production company, Hard Knocks Productions. You'll get all your information about the film there. And we're going to be doing another one of these with Larissa and Sterling. And then we also wanted to do one with Ron and Elizabeth, which would be really, it's going to be really fun. So look out for those. But thank you so much, you guys. This was fascinating.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I could just keep going. Thank you, Megan.
Thank you.
Yeah. Great. All right. I will see you guys later. Thanks everybody for watching.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.